The NBA's Superman, Dwight Shaquille O'Neal.
What's it pecking order contract? You can't give out my name. But I'm trying, if a guy walks in,
Shaquille O'Neal was one of the most dominant basketball players we have ever seen. I mean, how could you really stop a 300-pound monster when he gets near the paint? Yeah, this is most likely going to happen to you.
Now, Bob, watch the power. He just overpowers him, and he comes down, and then he shoves him right there. They called the technical on Shaq on that.
It wouldn't be a pretty sight. But Shaq, even today, regrets something that happened back in 1988 when he was just a high school junior. He even still curses those people today. One day after signing with the Lakers, 3 men approached Shaq looking for an autograph. And before they even got to him, Shaq was already whispering curses. The men, all nearly a foot shorter than Shaq and several $1 million lighter,
I have the highest purchase in Walmart history. The CEO will confirm that.
Went over to shake his hand. Shaq cursed him again, but even as he did, he still smiled. He couldn't really hold it against them. What these 3 guys did to him 9 years ago, it hurt for a long time. He would mention it wherever he went to play basketball, whether at LSU, Orlando, or Los Angeles. Maybe you'd think that they, I don't know, stole from him before, or something. But before all the movies, before the rap videos, the commercials, the endorsements, and even before Shaq Fu, he lost a high school basketball game.
Slick, what up, man?
Coach Bell?
In his entire high school career, Shaq only ever lost 1 game, and it was an important one. It wasn't just any old game, it was the regional final. You win here, you go on to the state tournament, and go on to have a chance to play for the state championship. You lose, and well, you go home and you be mad about it for the next 40 years, which is exactly what Shaq did. But hey, who wouldn't be mad about it? Especially with what they did.
Mr. Sensitive. No, ain't no Mr. Sensitive. Do it again. I'm telling you right now. Mr. Sensitive. No, I ain't sensitive. I'm going to knock your ass out. I'm telling you right now. You play me if you want to. Supposed to be 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2, back to 1. Dumbass.
I'm sure you can all imagine what Shaq in high school would have been like. An absolute monster, toying with his opponents all day long, averaging like 30 points, 20 rebounds, and like 5 blocks a game. Well, you'd basically be right. There was absolutely nobody that could stop him, and that would make sense. Like, look at his teammates. Tell me, in this photo, where do you think Shaq is? I think it's this guy on the left here, right? This was the competition he would normally go up against. It was said that Shaq never really fought for position for rebounds. He simply just reached over his opponents and just swiped it away. They had a perfect record, but that one team Shaq just couldn't beat. The 1988 Liberty Hall Panthers. None of them were anything special, not even athletically. They were just regular guys that Shaq just couldn't understand why or how they beat him. Their biggest player was only 6'3", while Shaq stood 6'10", 240 pounds at the time. The Panthers heard about the 6'10" kid who was averaging 10 blocks a game and knew it was only a matter of time before they had to face him. But they didn't care. They would just shrug at the thought. An old fellow came along.
Let me tell you.
And told the Liberty team that he'd kill you guys. There was pretty much no reason for them to be cocky. Nobody on the team had great athleticism. None of them were highly scouted. None of them were even that tall compared to Shaq. But they were good and could shoot. They were among the best shooting teams in high school and never not once shot under 75% from the free throw line as a team for the entire late 80s. And well, you know, Shaq didn't really give a thought about free throws.
I'm going to miss a lot about the game. I'm going to miss the competition, the camaraderie, the friendship, the fans, joking with the media, and I'm really going to miss the free throws.
But the Panthers went into the 1988 season ranked second and won games by an average of 52 points. One team they beat so bad, the coach refused to let their team even go out in the fourth quarter. Like, that's just sad. Like, I know the players for sure were embarrassed of that. Their goal in games was to shoot 60% from the field and 80% from the free throw line. More often than not, they were very close to that goal. They weren't just a run and gun style team. As Smets, one of the players on that Liberty Hall team, put it, they just made a ton of shots. All 5 of their starters averaged double figures and nobody really stood out. It was essentially the, perfect role team. It was finally playoff time and they had defeated a team with a 6'9" center who did go on to play for Washington State. So none of the players or coaches really even believed that Shaq could be all that much better. Well, apparently plenty better, as the coaches and players saw Shaq firsthand play later that day. None of them really believed it. They thought it was crazy. They said it was a man amongst boys. But it was time. Both teams advanced through the playoffs and made it to the regional finals. It was finally time for them to play each other. Now it's win or go home. You win here, you go to the state tournament. You lose here, you go home. They had a plan though. They knew Shaq didn't really fight for position and just reached over the players' backs. So if they boxed him out well enough, they could foul him out. The strategy proved itself. Shaq picked up back-to-back fouls early in the first, then another back-to-back fouls before the quarter ended. Knowing Shaq and about how hot he gets, you can only imagine what he was like, with 4 fouls and only 1 from fouling out in the regional final. He probably said something along these lines to the referee.
David Stern wonder why the league is losing money. That's why. People pay good money to come watch these athletes play and they try to take over the fucking game.
Shaq, we're on live. I know.
Shaq was forced to sit out the rest of the half and didn't even start the second half. Finally, when Shaq got back into the game, he instantly scored 8 points for his team but was useless on defense now. He was forced to play very softly as he was afraid to foul out. Shaq did play the rest of the game without fouling out, but it was a little too late and his mood wasn't great. He looked as if he was just robbed. In the end, he only scored 9 points and the Liberty Hall Panthers beat the San Antonio Coal 79-74, and they ended up moving on to the state tournament, leaving Shaq behind. Moving on from that game was hard for Shaq, as for years he said officials robbed him in the game. He vowed revenge the very next season, and he got it. In a playoff game against Liberty Hill, Shaq led San Antonio with 40 points, 29 rebounds, and 11 block shots on the way to an undefeated season and state championship. Unfortunately, none of the players that were on the team the previous year were there for that beatdown. After that game, Shaq actually threw the ball into the stands. So I guess Shaq couldn't really move on if those same players were not there. But after so many years, Shaq still hasn't forgotten that game. After the Lakers beat San Antonio, a San Antonio reporter asked him if the loss to Liberty Hill bothered him as much as he has indicated. He didn't answer for maybe about 5 seconds, and then replied, "Back then, yeah. But what bothered me was the 4 fouls. I never got into the game." But he did say that Liberty Hill did a great job and that they shot the ball well and that some of those players had like Larry Bird range. But man, that one game still haunts Shaq to this day. He not once ever lost the game in high school except that one time. Maybe his team would have won another state championship that year. Who knows? I personally would be pretty mad too if the other team had to try and foul me out to win. But hey, that's basketball. It's part of the game. Anyways guys, that's it for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know in the comments about what you think or what I should make a video next on. Later y'all.